The rest of the story. Everybody in central Louisiana knew the pretty O'Bryan girl as a gifted pianist, but when she and our country were young, nice girls did not perform on the stage. But history was already preparing another place for the pretty O'Bryan girl. In your life, Rilda Bee O'Bryan managed to merge a professional music career with marriage by teaching piano to neighborhood youngsters. And that was not all they learned, for her special skill was combined with a quiet, confident Christian faith, which inspired perspiring toddlers to be good custodians of their talents. What you are is your gift from God, she would say. What you become is your gift to Him. And when a son was born, Rilda Bee never allowed her avocation to conflict with her first obligation as a mother. Lessons were spaced so that they would not interfere with baby's sleep time. It was one afternoon when one of her more promising pupils had delighted Rilda Bee with a rather complete recital of Crawford's Arpeggio Waltz that she congratulated the youngster, told him he'd certainly earned a gold star for committing to memory that somewhat advanced piece at the age of only 15, and she adjourned the lesson. Now it's later, and Rilda Bee's in the kitchen. She overheard her pupil back at the keyboard again, playing the Arpeggio Waltz again. She glanced at the clock, went to the kitchen door, called out to the young lad that his mother might be getting anxious. It was time to go home now, but the notes of Crawford's music continued, uninterrupted. Thinking her pupil had not heard, Rilda Bee opened the door to the living room to discover it was not her secondary student at the keyboard. It was not the considerable accomplishment of a 15-year-old boy she was rehearing. There at the piano, having had no lesson in his life, but playing by ear, was her own son, age 3. I would guess the tears which welled into the teacher's eyes that afternoon were mixed with pride and reservation, for none knew better than she what a monumental career might await a pianist so accomplished at 3, and yet what dedication and discipline and inevitable sacrifice it would require. But there was no turning back now. There was a pianist in the family, and under her tutelage that lad grew to match and then surpass the artistry of his gifted mother. The days became years. The minuet became Rachmaninoff. The lean young man with the huge, powerful, sensitive hands grew tall at the keyboard, and one day when he was ready, there was the Tchaikovsky competition in Moscow, after which, for the first time in the history of that greatest international talent tournament, the audience was on its feet cheering and applauding for 8.5 uninterrupted minutes, and after which, for the first time ever, a New York ticker-tape parade for a piano player, when the lean young genius from Louisiana and Texas came home. There have been other stars of the first magnitude who rank with the greatest of the great. But the chronology which I have recited today, and every subsequent performance by her son, constitute our nation's greatest ever such gift to the timeless world of music. And that greatest gift derives in large part from an uncommon woman named Rilda Bee. And her son would be the first to say so. The virtuoso who announced himself at the age of 3, of course, was Van Cliburn. You knew Rilda Bee died last Wednesday morning. I thought you should know the rest of the story.
And now for the rest of the story. Had you ever heard of Van Cliburn? Harvey Lavan Cliburn Jr. was born in Shreveport, Louisiana in 1934. Mr. Harvey told us the amazing story of how he began taking piano lessons from his mother, Rilda Bee O'Bryan Cliburn. Rilda Bee had a musical lineage of her own. She was taught by Arthur Friedheim, who was one of Franz Liszt's foremost pupils. Now, Franz Liszt is considered to be one of the most prolific and influential composers of his era and remains one of the most popular composers in modern concert piano repertoire. In 1946, 12-year-old Van Cliburn entered the statewide piano competition in Texas. The other competitors were certainly talented, but Van Cliburn blew them all away. With this win, he began playing with the Houston Symphony Orchestra. In 1951, the 17-year-old entered the Julliard School in New York City. In the following year, Van Cliburn won the International Chopin Competition in New York City. In 1954, he won the Leventritt Award, a highly prestigious international competition for classical pianists and violinists, and made his debut at Carnegie Hall. He was just 20 years old at the time. In 1958, the International Chopin Competition was held in Moscow. The United States and the USSR was in the midst of the Cold War. The Soviets designed the event to show their cultural superiority. In the previous year, the Soviets had a victory in the space race with the launch of Sputnik. On April 13, 1958, Van Cliburn played Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto No. 1, followed by Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto No. 3 for the judges and audience. This is where he received the 8-minute standing ovation. To demonstrate just how long an 8-minute standing ovation is, turn off all distractions, your TV, radio, make it completely silent. Set a timer for 8 minutes, and while standing, stare out of a window. 8 minutes is a long time. Every eye in the room was on him. After the standing ovation, Van Cliburn gave a short speech in Russian and returned to the piano to play one last tune. For this one, he played his own arrangement of a song that everyone in the audience instantly recognized, Moscow Nights. I'll share a link to that video in the description below. As you watch this video, pay attention to the musicians in the background. You can see the surprise and the delight on their faces when they realized what Van Cliburn was playing. Remember that this competition was designed to show Soviet cultural superiority. The judges agreed that Van Cliburn was the clear winner, but he was not a Soviet. He was an American. Before the judges announced the winner in the competition, they asked Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev for his permission to award the first prize to an American. Khrushchev purportedly asked, "Is he the best?" "Yes," the judges replied. "Then give him the prize." Due to this win, Van Cliburn rose to international prominence. Van Cliburn returned home a hero. In New York City, he received the ticker tape parade, as Mr. Harvey explained. At City Hall, following the parade, Van Cliburn gave a short speech. He said, "I appreciate more than you will ever know that you are honoring me, but the thing that thrills me the most is that you are honoring classical music, because I'm only one of many. I'm only a witness and a messenger, because I believe so much in the beauty, the construction, the architecture invisible, the importance for all generations, for young people to come, that it will help their minds, develop their attitudes, and give them values. That is why I am so grateful that you have honored me in that spirit." He made the cover of Time magazine, the title of which was "The Texan Who Conquered Russia." Later that same year, Van Cliburn won the 1958 Grammy Award for Best Classical Performance with his recording of Tchaikovsky's Piano Concerto No. 1. 3 years later, the version was certified as a gold record. The album which included this song became the first classical album in history to reach platinum status. It was the best-selling classical album in the world for more than a decade, and eventually went triple platinum. Wow. Van Cliburn's 1958 performance in Moscow, when he won the prestigious Tchaikovsky International Piano Competition, has been added to the National Recording Registry in the Library of Congress for long-term preservation. Van Cliburn played for royalty, heads of state, and presidents of the United States, including Harry Truman, Dwight Eisenhower, John F. Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon, Gerald Ford, Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, George Herbert Walker Bush, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama. That's right. He played for every U.S. president from Harry Truman to Barack Obama, who was president when Van Cliburn died. That certainly must be a record in itself. I've included links to some of Van Cliburn's videos in the description below. Remember to join my channel to get access to perks and bonus materials. I'll leave a link to join in the description as well. I'm Brad Dison. Thank you very much for watching. And as Paul Harvey would say, good day.